Okay, this is the payoff on the machine. Paying off means that you're handing over. Step 1, you put the spool in place. Step 2, use the winding wheel to send the bore into the drum. Or there are various attachments to use, depends on the size of the spool. Right? There's a wheel on either side. Right? This is a manual operation to send in and out. Right? The other thing is this this drive pin, right, that Nigel is holding. Drive pin needs to mount, right, on the arm. Right. But there's 2 bore on the drum. One bore is for the center of the drum, and the other bore is for the drive pin. Ready? Go. Right. Once the drum is in place, you raise the arm, the hydraulic arm, with these buttons. Right. The black button is to raise, and the red button is to lower. On the main controller, the right hand side control is for the hydraulic to raise and lower the arm. The left hand side control is for the winding of the spool. Right? So green indicates that it's powered. Right? 1 is on, turning on the hydraulic. Left hand side, once you press, that will engage the main motor to run the spool. Right? Now there's a gear or a gearbox for the main motor. Right? There's 2 positions, neutral. Should have a neutral position. Right? Neutral and up is gear number 1. Right? When you run in the drum, you're running a neutral position. The second, gear number 1 is to coil back the remaining of the wire onto the drum. Right? So normal operation, we on neutral. Okay. On the take-up side, right? It's almost the same as the payoff side. Right? When you thread the trick cable through, you're going through the guides, coming to the top of the drum, and then there's a hole to send through the cable, and you secure it, right, with a nail or a clamp onto the drum. Okay. But this is the controls for the payoff, take up, right? The main, right, this pin will send the arm in and out, right? On the payoff on the other side, that was a manual process. On this one, it's controlled by hydraulics, right? So these buttons will now send the arm up and down. So after you load, you clamp it into place, and then you send the arm up. Okay. In order to flake properly, right, based on the size of the spool, right, the machine will go right, left, right, left. What he's setting there now is the limits on the flaker, right? It's just an adjustable pin, right, which will engage the switch, mechanical switch, to change the direction. So these are the controls to engage the main motor, right? Green start, red stop, and speed control. So you start the machine, you adjust the speed, right. You also have a secondary speed control. And also a secondary start and stop. Right, he's manually adjusting the flicker, right? So it changes direction when it reaches the other side of the spool. The main motor has 2 gear positions depending on the neutral. 2 gear positions and a neutral depending on the size of cable that you're running. So you adjust the gear position to get more or less torque. Alright? So he's gonna adjust the gear position. So you also adjust the gear position. Neutral, push up and push down.
High range.
That's high range gear. Low range gear, right? You push up, you pull out, and then down, right? The low range gear. You would use the high range gear for larger cables, and the low range gear for smaller cables. On the flaker motor, there's also a gear, right? Up is neutral, which means that the flaker will stay in one position, right? And down would mean that the flicker will now move left to right based on the drive. There's also a fine adjustment in terms of the lay length, right? You adjust it smaller for smaller cables and larger for larger cables, right? So press it in and you can move it up, press, and you can move it down. Hold on, right. After you cut your cables, right, it's to rewind the excess cable back onto the main drum. So this is where you adjust the gear, put it from neutral into position 1. You engage the main motor, right? You adjust the speed control, and it will now start to take back up. So the payoff now comes the take up, right? So you can wrap back the cables onto the drum.